Hello everyone. Welcome back to our lunch and learn session. A very welcome to all of you today. My name is Rosnita from SL Academy. Today we have Miss Adila for our lunch and learn session, and she will be sharing on topic formula and function in Excel. If you have any question regarding this topic, do leave your message in the comment section and Miss Adila will answer them right after her presentation. All right, let's not wait anymore. Now I pass this mic to Miss Adila.
Hello, Assalamualaikum and good afternoon, everyone. So firstly, thank you so much, Kak Rose, for the nice introduction earlier. So hello and welcome to all of you who attended the Lunch and Learn session, which is formula and functions in Excel that you need to know. So firstly, we're going to go through 4 functions and formula today. And these are non-common formulas that you can find in Excel. These are something that is rarely been used. So I hope this is something new and something that you may use in the future, regardless in your work or also in your daily lives. So without waiting any further, let's start with the first function, which is len. So let me open a file and I will share with all of you shortly. All right, so if you can see in front of the screen right now, I have a list of name in column A here. All right, we have several names. Let me count. We have about 4,027 names here, quite a lot, quite a number. So the formula that we are looking here today, the first one is called len, L-E-N. So what is len all about? Len is showing number of characters, including space and also symbols. So an example of application that I can share with all of you is certificate. So sometimes when you are in charge in creating a certificate, for example, you are in the HR department. So sometimes they have limited number of characters that you can input to make sure that the certificate looks nice, tidy, and the name is not too long or not too short, right? So if you want to check whether the name that you have in the name list is it as per the number of characters that is allowed in the certificate, you can actually use the len function. So here, how to use the len function is quite simple. In Excel itself, when you start any formula, always begin with the symbol equal to. So here I'm putting the equal sign here. So I just put len, L-E-N. So you can see in the insert function here, the len function appears. You just double click on the word len, click on the name that you want to check the number of characters in, and just click enter. So here for the 5th row, which is the name of Muhammad Amirul bin Zaiful Amri, we can see that he has his name actually has 31 characters, including the spacing. Let's say, for example, between Muhammad and Amirul, we have 1 spacing here, so that also includes inside. So if you want to apply to the rest, let's say your maximum number of character that is allowed for your certificate is only 30 character. So you can flag out those which are more than 30 characters, then maybe you can make some amendments, right? So for example, for row 5, sorry, it's only exceeding by 1 character only. So maybe instead of putting the full Muhammad Amirul bin Zaiful Amri, instead of using the full bin, bin here, maybe you can cut it short to only b to showcase the meaning of bin. All right, same goes for row number 6. This name is quite long, Nur Iradatul Shaira Amira binti Azman, all right, with 37 characters. So if you want, let's say 30 characters, you need to cut at least 7 characters. So maybe instead of putting her full name, including binti Azman, you can just leave it at Nur Iradatul Shaira Amira. All right, so this is how you can apply an example of how you can use the function or the formula of len inside Microsoft Excel. So I hope this is something that you never seen before, all right? Something, an unpopular um, function or formula inside Excel, but at the same time, you can see here there's also its own application, all right, in the real world situation. So this is the first one, len. The second one that I wanted to share with all of you is called Concatenate. All right. So we're going to have a look at Concatenate and also text to column after this, which come hand in hand. Let me open the file. It's here, and let me share my screen. All right, let me make it bigger. So here I have a file called Wise Owl Travel Agent. So basically, this is just showing a set of data from a travel agency. We have in column A here, the name of the country. In column B, we have the resort name. In column C, we have the number of days. Column D, the travel method, whereby how the customers or clients arrive at that country. We have column E, the pricing in British pounds. And in column F, we have dedicated holiday ID. So for every customers who book with the travel agent, the travel agency would actually issue a holiday ID, special for each of the orders that they received. Right? So we have data from column A to column F here. And then in column G, I just put here, let's say if you want to combine any of these words here. Let's say I want to combine country and also the holiday ID together. So this is where we are going to use the formula of concatenate. So you can see the spelling here, CONCATENATE, concatenate. So for concatenate, if you want to combine two or three or more of any of the wording that you have inside your data, you may use this particular formula. So how we can use concatenate is, for example here, firstly, we need to put the symbol of equal to here, equal sign. And then we can just put concat, CONCAT, which is the short form for concatenate. You just double click here. So you will see concat here. And then let's say, for example, here, I want to combine country and holiday ID. So for country, we can find it under column A, and holiday ID is under column F. So I would choose Australia here from country. When you want to input inside concatenate, you have to put comma sign, apostrophe, comma. So the beginning and the ending would be comma, and then at the middle you have to have double push apostrophe there. So if you want to see the symbol of apostrophe, you can see in your keyboard, it's beside your enter. If you can see your enter key there, it's on the left side of it. So you can find the apostrophe symbol. After you have input comma sign, double apostrophe, and then comma again to close it, you can select the last one, which is holiday ID. So if you can see from the screen here, equal to concat, we have A4, which is Australia. We put the beginning, which is comma, the middle double apostrophe there. We put the ending there of comma again. We close it with comma, and then we include the holiday ID. We input the holiday ID, and finally the bracket sign. All right. So when you press enter, we can see here it's already been combined. Country Australia with the holiday ID of I990AUS. So that is how you want to combine any of the text inside Microsoft Excel by using the concatenate formula. So this is an example whereby we want to combine it straight away, meaning there is no other character or symbol between country and also holiday ID. That is the first one. We just use comma and also apostrophe. What if we want to input some symbol? Let's say we want to put comma or even other symbol like add, for example. So we can put that as well. Again, I would start off with concat, and then I would choose the country here, Australia. The opening is always a comma symbol, apostrophe. So let's say you want to put the symbol of add here. So after the apostrophe, you input add, close it with apostrophe again, close it with comma, put the symbol just nice in between the apostrophe and also the comma. And then you can click on the holiday ID and close it with the bracket. So if you can see clearly in front of the screen right now, we can see we open and end it with comma. All right. And then in the middle, we would put the symbol just nice in between the apostrophe. So when you click enter, you can see here we have combined the country and holiday ID, but with a character here or a symbol, which is the @ symbol. Okay, so let me show you one final example by using concatenate. Let's say we wanted to put a different symbol, which is the symbol N. So again, concat, you double click on the formula. We click on country. Remember, we always start off with comma, apostrophe, and then we put the symbol N, which is shift number 7, all right, in front of your keyboard. Again, we put apostrophe, just nice, tuck the N symbol between the apostrophe, close it with a comma, and finally, we click on the holiday ID and also closing bracket. And that is how you can combine country and holiday ID. But for this case, we are using the symbol N. All right. So this is how we want to use concatenate, and this is the way of inputting the formula inside Microsoft Excel worksheet. So that is formula number 2, which is concatenate. So the first one is len, second one is concatenate, and to continue the flow, we would next look at text to column. All right, for text to column, I think I'm just going to use a blank worksheet first, blank workbook to show all of you how does it work. Let me zoom in a little bigger so all of you can see, and let me reshare my screen. All right, so for text to column, where you can find the formula, you can go to your data tab, all right, the data tab up here, and then almost to the right here, you can see text to column. Now, what are some of the application or example of text to column? Let's say here, I have an email, okay, my email, for example. Let me remove the hyperlink, all right? So let's say here, I want to separate it into two things, which is username and also domain name. For username, it's Adila Diyana. That is definitely my username. And the domain name is gmail.com. So example of other domain name is hotmail.com, yahoo.com. That would be your domain name, right? So if I want to split it, if we are not familiar with the if we are not familiar with the text to column function, right, what we would do is people would actually copy Adila Diyana here, paste it under username, and then we would copy gmail.com, all right, copy and paste it under the domain name. This is just one example. Imagine if we have like under column G for email, you have thousands of lines, and then you have to copy paste one by one. It will actually cost you a lot of time for you to just separate it between username and domain name. So Excel here, which is inside Excel, which is the text to column function, it allows you to split, all right, in just few minutes or maybe in under 1 minute into your desired column. So if you want to separate the username and domain name here, what we can do is first we just select the data, the relevant data. So in this case, adiladiana@gmail.com. We just click, we just go to the data tab and then go to text to column. Under text to column, we must pay attention. There are actually two selections here. One is delimited and the second one is fixed width. Now, what are the differences between delimited and also fixed width? The difference is for delimited, if let's say the item or the wordings that you want to separate is separated by character. All right. So for example, if you can see adiladiana@gmail.com, right? So between your username and also your domain name, there's actually a separator there, which is the @ symbol. And the @ symbol is a character. So if you have character, we're going to use delimited. But let's say if you don't have any character between the item that you wanted to separate, then we would use fixed width. So don't worry, I will show you few examples of delimited. All right, and then I will show you also the example of fixed width. So in this case, between username and domain name, we have the character, which is the symbol @ So if there is character, I would use delimited here. So just click on delimited, click on next, and then we have several delimiters option here. First one is tab. second is semicolon, third is comma, fourth is space, and the last one is other. If your delimiters is none of these four above, you can just go to other, and then in this space here, just input the character. In this case, the character is the symbol @ all right? So after you have input your delimiters, you click on next, and then under the destination, make sure you update the destination to the desired column or cell or row. So here I want my username to be in cell H3. All right. So under the destination, I just click on cell H3. After that, just click finish. So if you can see here, it has been separated by username and also domain name. So after this, you may use text to column formula or function when you want to separate any of the characters or wordings or paragraph inside Microsoft Excel. So this is the first example that I use, let's say for email. Let's say we want to split by first name and also last name. So let me show another example here. First name and last name. Let's say we have a name of, let's say Mr. 𝗟𝗪𝗡𝗖𝗛, okay, for an example. Sorry, let me just start off with a different cell. Okay, we have the name here of 𝗟𝗪𝗡𝗖𝗛. So if you want to separate the name by first name and last name, again, first you just highlight the relevant column or relevant data, go to data tab, click on text to column. And here, if you can see, between our first name and last name here, people may get confused. People may say, oh, we don't have any character that separates it. And some people say, wait, we do have a character that separates between the first name and last name. If you look closely at the name of 𝗟𝗪𝗡𝗖𝗛, right, between the first name and last name, there is actually a character in between these two, in between the first name and last name, which is space. Spacing is also considered as character. So please be careful. In this case, we are still using delimited because between first name and last name, we do have a character which is space. All right. So here I'm going to choose delimited. Click next. All right. So under the delimiters, I would only click on space. So here I would remove the symbol and untick on other, and I will only just tick on the delimiters of space. After you have choose your delimiters, click next. And then remember, don't forget to update your destination. So destination, I would put it here under cell H5 and then just click finish. So you can see 𝗟𝗪𝗡𝗖𝗛 has been separated by first name and also last name. So that is how you want to use text to column. For those with characters, you use delimiters. What if we don't have any character? For an example, let's say I work at KFC and this is my employee number. KFC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is my employee ID. So under my employee ID, I want to separate by alphabet and also numbers. So under alphabet, we would have KFC, which is the alphabet. And under the numbers, I would have number 1, 2, 3 until 9. So between the alphabet and numbers, if you can see KFC, straight away they jump into number 1, 2, 3 and so on. We don't have any characters in between the alphabet and numbers. So this is a perfect example for you to use text to column, the second one, which is fixed width. So remember I mentioned earlier, text to column we have two, which is delimited and also fixed width. If you have character between the one that you want to separate, please use delimited. But if there are no characters, you must use fixed width. So in this case of employee ID, we don't have any delimiters between the alphabet and numbers. Hence, I will use fixed width. After you tick on fixed width, go to next. So how do you want to separate this? Between the alphabet C and number 1, just click somewhere in the middle between C and 1. When I click in the middle, I can see this arrow here pointing upward. So this would be the separator. After you have clicked, just click next. Destination, you may update it. into here, H5, and then just click finish. So now you can see the alphabet and numbers has been separated perfectly. All right. So this is an example whereby we only have alphabet and numbers. What if someone asks me, Adila, what if I have alphabet, okay, and then I have numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then returns back to alphabet ABC. Okay, can I separate it into three? The answer is yes. You may separate it into three or four. It doesn't matter as long as you put the arrow or the separator line correctly. So for an example here, we want to separate by alphabet, numbers, and also back to alphabet. So we have three columns here. We want to separate into three different columns. No problem. You can still use text to column. Just click on the relevant data here, the original one. Just click on text to column. So we know we don't have any characters between the alphabet and numbers. Therefore, we would use fixed width. Click next. So for the first one, I would click in between C and number 1. All right, so this is my first upward arrow. The second one is I would put my arrow between number 6 and also alphabet A. So now I have my second arrow. After you have input it correctly, just click next, update your destination. So here under cell H7, click finish. So you can see here under column H we have KFC, under column I we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then under column J again we have the ABC. All right, so that is the difference between delimited and also fixed width inside text to column. So if you can see the relationship between concatenate and text to column, right? For concatenate, if you want to join in join in the information, right? You want to, let's say for example, just now we want to include country plus with the holiday ID. So how you want to combine them. But for text to column, it's exactly the opposite of concatenate, whereby inside text to column, you want to separate it. Okay, so it goes hand in hand. So that is example of text to column. So before I move on to the next function for today, I would like to share some exercise file for text to column so we can see the example much clearer. Okay. So the first one, I have text to column file comma. Let me open the file, make it bigger. Okay. And I'll share it with all of you. Okay, so here we have names here for last name and also first name. So for example, inside column A, right, the first one, I have the name of Brady, comma, Tom, Manning, comma, Peyton, Peterson, comma, Adrian. So basically it's last name, comma, first name. So how do I want to separate the data inside column A into last name in column B and also first name in column C? First thing first, we need to determine whether do we use delimited or fixed width. So between the last name and first name, we can see there is a character here between these two, which is the symbol comma. All right, so if that's the case, we may use delimited. So here I'll just highlight the relevant data. All right, go to data tab, text to column. We are going to use delimited because we have the character which is comma to separate between last name and first name. Click next. All right, so here I would choose delimiters number 3, which is comma. Click next, and then don't forget to update your destination. I would put here cell B2. When I click finish, automatically Excel will work it out for you. It has already separated by the last name and also by first name. Okay, so that is the first example of text to column comma file. The next file that I have is text to column email address. All right, let me make it bigger and share it. Okay, so if you can see here under column A, sorry, I have several email addresses here. For an example, I have brucewayne@batman.com, 𝗟𝗘𝗔𝗥𝗡@superman.com, 𝗏𝗏𝗪@spiderman.com, and 𝗏𝑖𝑑𝑒Wilson@deadpool.com. So if I want to separate this email address by username and also domain name, first, like I mentioned earlier, we need to check, is there any character that separates username and also domain name? The answer is yes, which is the @ all right? So here, let's straight away go on with text to column. And since there is character, we would use delimited. So again, navigate yourself to data tab, text to column, delimited, next. Since symbol @ is none of the four above, we use other and then we input the symbol here, symbol @ click next, update your destination. I would put here cell B2, click finish. And now straight away, it has been separated by the username under column B and also the domain name under column C. Okay, so that is the second example, the file of text to column email address. Second last, or the third one, I have name. Okay, sharing here with all of you. Alright, so name is in column A. We have Bruce Wayne, Tony Stark, Clark Kent, Harry Potter, Peter Parker, and Steve Rogers. So if you want to separate by first name and last name, between the first name and last name, there's actually a character here which is space. And spacing, since there is a character which is space, we would use delimited as well. So here we just highlight relevant data, go to the data tab, click on text to column, choose delimited because there is character which is space, go to next, and under the delimiters, choose the correct delimiters. In this case, it's space. Click on next, and then under the destination, you can just put here cell B2. And when I click finish, it has separate the first name and last name nicely here. First name under column B and column C dash last name. Right, so this is the final example of delimited. Then the final example of text to column, which is the file transaction ID. This one will show you an example for fixed width. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen now. All right, this is the file transaction ID. So I have placed some transaction ID under column A here, and then I want to separate by the first 5 and the rest. So technically what it means is the first 5 is actually the alphabets, all right, and the rest actually refers to the numbers. So if you can see between the alphabet and also the numbers, there are absolutely no characters at all. Straight away from alphabet, they jump into numbers. Therefore, in this case, we will be using fixed width, similar to the example that I provided earlier and for employee ID. Okay, so first thing first, highlight relevant data, go to the data tab, click on text to column, choose fixed width because there is no character that separates between the alphabet and numbers. Click on next, and then here I would click between the alphabet and the last alphabet and the first number. When I see this upward arrow, click on next, update the destination into cell B2, and then click finish. So now we can see, sorry, under column B would have the first 5 or the alphabet, and under column C would have the rest of the data, or what we call as numbers here. So that is the final example of text to column under the file of transaction ID. So we've covered 3 so far, which is len, concatenate, and also text to column. Now, the final one that I want to share with you is called group ungroup subtotal. Okay, let me open a file here to show you an example. Sharing my screen. Okay, group ungroup t-shirt size. All right, here you go. So this is the data that I have under t-shirt size. So this is an elementary school. Okay, we have in column A, we have homeroom, which class are the students in. Column B is the first name of the students. Column C is the last name of the student. Column D is the payment method. Okay, there are several payment method available, such as cash, check, check bounce, debit card, money order, pending, and also wrong number. And then we also have the t-shirt size in large, medium, small, and also extra large. So I have put some instruction here. First, we would like to perform the function and we like to group ungroup them by t-shirt size. Second, we want to group ungroup them by payment size. So since there are two requirements here, what I would do is, firstly, I would duplicate the worksheet here. All right. So how do you want to duplicate? We put our cursor under sheet 1 at the bottom here. Right click on our mouse. Click on move or copy, which is the fourth one. All right. Move or copy. Click on move to the end and then tick on the box of create a copy. So that is how you want to duplicate a worksheet. When you click OK, there's now two worksheets which are the same, all right, because you have duplicated into another worksheet. So for sheet 1, I will use it for t-shirt size, and then sheet 1 in bracket 2, I would use it for payment method. So firstly, to not confuse between these two, I would actually rename the title of the worksheet. So to rename the title of the worksheet, again, put your cursor down here under sheet 1, right click on your mouse, and then at the third line here, click on rename. So here I would rename it into t-shirt size. All right. That is for sheet 1. And then for sheet 1 in bracket number 2, I would rename it into payment method. So again, to rename your worksheet, just put your cursor on the worksheet tab here. Right click on the mouse, click on rename. And then here I would rename it into payment method. Okay. So for the first one, which is t-shirt size. If you want to group t-shirt size together, let's say your data is not sorted properly, right? So let's say, for an example, the first one for Melissa, it's small. Second one, it's medium. So it's a bit, how to say, it's a bit mixed up, right? So the first step that you have to do, if you want to perform the group ungroup subtotal, you need to sort the data in relevant column. All right, so you need to sort the data in the relevant column. So here what I would do is I will just sort column E, which is t-shirt size. I'll just put it sort A to Z. All right, so here we have the letter L first, large, medium, and the final one is extra large. So that is the first step. The second step is we need to highlight relevant data including the title. Okay. So when you want to highlight your relevant data here, make sure you include the title as well, which is the title under row number 1, such as homeroom, first name, last name, payment method, and also t-shirt size. You need to highlight inclusive of the title. So we just highlight all of the data here. After you have highlighted, go to data tab. Okay, we are still in data tab. Earlier we covered text to column. Now under data tab, I want you to go to the last one, the most right of your screen. Click on subtotal. All right. So this table would come out when you click on subtotal. The only part that you need to update is the first part. The first part here is showing at each change in, make sure you change it into the column that you sort earlier. So we are sorting the column t-shirt size, right? So make sure at each change in, you also change it into t-shirt size. All right. After you have changed it, click OK. So now you can see Excel have calculated it for you and group it for you nicely. We know for large, we have 5 kids with large size. Medium, we have 10. Small, we have 8. Extra large, we have 4. And then they even show you the grand total of the whole school, which is 27 children or 27 students. All right. So it's showing you subtotal here. And then on the left side of the screen, we can see number 1, 2, 3, very small here. So what does this show you? if you click on number 1, Excel will only show you high level of information, which is they will only show the grand total or the grand count in this case. So we know there are actually 27 students inside the elementary school. All right, so that is when you click on number 1 on the left side. If you click on number 2, they will provide further detailed breakdown of the data, which is they will show you for large, we have how much, medium, we have how much, small, we have how much, XL, we have how much, and also the grand total. So that is number 2. When you click further, they will show you more detailed information. And if you click on number 3, right, it will show you the most detailed information version that they have, inclusive of the homeroom, the students are from which class, the first name and last name of the student, the payment method, and also the t-shirt size. All right, so that is what is indicated by number 1, number 2, and number 3 on your screen. All right, the last part of group and group subtotal that I wanted to share is, if you can see down here, it may be small, but there's a negative symbol here. All right, if I click on here, they will actually collapse all of the large size. All right, and then when I click on plus, they will actually expand it. So this will provide you a very nice medium for you to show or to hide or unhide any of the document that you wanted to show. So let's say for an example, we just want to show for small size only. So you may collapse, you collapse for medium as well, and then you collapse for extra large. So now it's only showing small only. All right, so that is the function of 1, 2, 3 there, and also the plus minus sign on the left of the screen. So that is for group and group t-shirt size. Next one, let's try and perform group and group subtotal for payment method. So now I move on to the next worksheet, which is payment method. So remember, what is the first step? We need to sort first. So let's say we want to group together payment method, which is column D. You have to sort the data first. So for column D here, I'll just sort from A to Z, right? So we have nice here cash, followed by check bounce, debit card, and so on. Okay, so first step is done. We have sort the data properly. Second step, highlight relevant data inclusive of the title in row 1, which is the homeroom, first name, last name, payment method, and also t-shirt size. Right? After you have highlighted all of the relevant data inclusive of the title, we navigate ourselves to the data tab, and on the most right, just click on subtotal. Again, at the top part here is the only part that you need to update. At each change in, make sure you change it into payment method. So after you have updated the first part, the top part, just click on OK. Now we know how many students paid through cash, how many students paid via check, how many students have their check bounced, how many students have paid using debit card, money order, pending payment, and also how many students have paid but with this wrong amount. So this is the function of group and group subtotal. You don't need to insert row anymore and create your subtotal manually. You can just use the function of subtotal here under data tab. All right. So again, if you want to know the function of 1, 2, 3 on the left side and plus and minus, 1 showing you the highest level of information. When you click on number 2, they are going more detailed a bit, whereby they provide the number for each of the payment method, how many paid via cash, how many paid via check, and so on. And when you click on number 3, they will provide with you the most detailed breakdown that they have. All right, in this case, we would have the full data in front of you, including the homeroom, first name, last name, payment method, and also the t-shirt size. Okay, so that is for group and group subtotal. All right, so we've covered 4 unpopular function and formula so far, which is first len, second is concatenate, third is text to column, and the final one is group and group. So I hope based on what I've shared earlier today would be useful to all of you, and hopefully you may use it and apply it in your work one day. So I think that's all from me. Thank you so much, and I hand over this session back to Kak Ros.
Okay, everyone. Now we open this session for Q&A if there's any. Okay, I guess there's one question, Adila.
All right. So thank you for your question. So it's stating here if Malay name and Chinese name. So I wanted to know more. Are you referring to which formula are you referring to? Is it the text to column for you to separate for Malay name and Chinese name? Is that it for Nijo? If for, let's say, for names, right, for Malay name and Chinese name, so for, let's say, if you want to use text to column for an example, right, there is limitation whereby you need to, the Excel would only separate it if it is separated by space, for an example. So let's say if my name like Adila Diyana Irwan, then they Excel will separate it into three different column, which is Adila in the first column, second column is Diana, and the third column is Irwan. And let's say if you have a Chinese name, let's say let's say we have 𝗘𝗫𝗖𝗏, right, for an example. So if you use the text to column, again, they will separate it into four different column instead, which is the first column Nicole, the second column Law, the third column Wei, and the fourth column Zin. So it depends on the data that you have, all right, and also what are the function that you use. So I hope I answer your question. That is the example that I can give for you if you are dealing with a Malay name and also in a Chinese name. So it depends on the data you have and what character is included inside the data. Yeah, sure. So for Len, yeah, so Len is the first formula that we covered earlier. No problem, Tan. I can show Len again. All right. So let me just open the file for you, and maybe we can recap with the rest of us here. Give me a moment. All right. Let me reshare my screen. All right. So the len function, right, or len, len function is very simple. It's just to show you the number of characters that is available based on the data you have, including if there is any space of symbol. So the example that I gave to all of you today is example here. If I am in charge to create the certificate for, let's say, a training, and then for that certificate, I have limited number of character. Maximum I can put is only 30 character. All right. And this is the list of name that I have. All right. I have about 4,027 names here. So I want to check whether all of these names comply with the limits that have been set or not, which is the 30 characters. So how can I use the len function? You just put the symbol equal to here. All right. And then type len, len, just double click on the function here, click on the name, and then just click enter. So here we can see for row number 4, Nur Fatihah binti Mat Ishaq, we have 27 character. And I just double click on the bottom right here to apply to the rest of the lines. All right. So let's see row number 5 and number 6. So these two row are example that exceed the maximum number of character that is allowed, which is 30 character. So for number 5, right, you may make some amendment here. So let's say if the full name here is Muhammad Amirul bin Zaiful Amri, so it's only exceeded by one character only. So what we can do is we can make it shorter a bit. Suggestions. Instead of using bin here, bin, the full one, maybe you can just put b only to represent bin. And then for row number 6, it has exceeded by 7 characters. So what they can do is first they can just put the name of 𝗓𝗟𝗡𝗠𝗖𝗪 without binti Azman, alright? Or maybe they want to shorten the first name if they want to include the father's name. So for example, we can just put here 𝗓𝗟𝗡𝗠𝗖𝗪 binti Azman without the Amira here to make sure that we can include all 30 characters or less. So that is what Len is all about, and the example of application that I can share with all of you if you want to use the formula of Len, right? So I hope that's clear. I will stop share for now, and thank you so much for the questions, for the two questions earlier. It can't separate it first name and last name. Yes, for Nijoy, actually you can separate it by first name and last name. So let me show you in Excel, right? So let's use the example of having sorry, two name. One is Malay, one is Chinese, right? That same example that I provided earlier. So let me reshare my screen. Okay, so example, I have Adila Diyana Irwan. Second one, Nicole Law Weizin, right? The best that Excel can do is they can just separate it based on the data that it has, all right? So if you want, let's say, for first name, Adila Diyana, right? It won't be possible because they can only read the data that you have. But if let's say all of the names here, they have the same, they have the same number of word, right? They have 3 words. Adila Diyana Irwan Nur Amira Zainal. Then you can use the fixed width. You may separate it that way. But if you want to use the text to column to just separate it based on the data that you have, the best we can do here is just, let me go to data tab again, text to column. So remember between all of this name, right, we do have a character which is space. So I will be using delimited. When I click on next, make sure I choose the delimiters of space. And when I click on next again, make sure we update the destination. In this case, I would choose cell C2, click finish. The outcome, if you can see from my screen here, they will separate it, the first name, which is Adila Diyana Irwan, they will separate into Adila, Diyana, and Irwan. And for the second name of Nicole Law Weizin, they will separate it into 4 columns. If you want to separate it by first name, as in you want it to make sure there's Adila, Diyana, and also Irwan, all right? It may be a bit tedious, all right? Because Excel won't be able to do it that way. They will read it based on the data that you have. Since between Adila, Diyana, and Irwan all have spaces, that's why they will separate it into 3 columns. Same goes to Nicole Lowezin. Since there is space between each word, they will separate it accordingly into 4 columns. But let's say you still want to separate into by first name and last name, right? Let's say first name you want Adila Diyana and last name you want Irwan. That is still possible, but you need to do it name by name instead of you just highlight the whole column. So I will show you an example here. Let's say you want the first name inside column C to be shown Adila Diyana and last name is Irwan. What you can use is you can use text to column, but instead of delimited, you would use fixed width. So after you click on fixed width, you click on next. Here, you just put the arrow between Diana and Irwan. All right, so that the first name would be Adila Diana and the last name would be Irwan. Example here. So if you want to separate it this way, you can use text to column, fixed width. Same goes to Nicolo Weizin, right? So let's say we want first name to include Nicole, Law Weizin is in last name, for an example, okay? So here, we just highlight the relevant data first. So I put my cursor under Nicole Law Weizin name, click on text to column, fixed width, next, and then just put the separator between Nicole and also Law Weizin. If let's say there is an existing separator here and you want to remove the arrow, what you can do is you just double click on the arrow. Automatically, it will be removed. All right. So just one arrow between Nicole and 𝗨𝗚. Click on next, destination, C3, click finish. So you can see under first name we have Nicole and under last name we have 𝗨𝗚.
Right. Okay, I guess, yeah, thank you for all the questions, yeah. Guess we do not have any more questions. All right, thank you so much, Adila, for the great sharing. Also, thank you to everyone who joining our Lunch and Learn session, which is sponsored to you by Excel Academy. Also, for those who wanted to know more about how Excel can help in your work matter, in your daily works, so don't forget to follow our social platform for the latest information on all our courses. Okay, so if you have any question, contact us through the contact information in the tickers below. All right, so with that, thank you everyone. Enjoy your lunch and see you again in our next Lunch and Learn session. Goodbye,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Have a great weekend.